Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Blading Culture podcast. My name's Eric. Today I'm sat in bed actually, funnily enough. I was due to go skating tomorrow, I was due to go skating on Sunday, I had a session next week. However, I had a bit of an accident. So I went to ramp one yesterday, which was the Thursday night session. I want to say thanks to Pete for sorting that out for me. But unfortunately I had a bit of an incident at the park. So if you've been to ramp one before, you'll know the rail I'm on about. If you've not been, I'll give you a quick rundown of it. So it's a downslope into a flat rail, It's a long flat rail with a very short downslope into it. It's a bit of a weird setup, designed mostly for skateboarders, I'm sure. But anyway, I've done this rail many, many times. There's nothing to it. It's a bit chunkier than your average rail. I'm on my them skates again, so it's I wasn't worried about the rail. Anyway, an hour into the session, I tried to topsail down this rail, and honestly, looking back, do you know what I mean? I didn't lose consciousness, but I don't know what happened. Pete Colquitt mentioned that at one point my feet were no longer the lowest part of my body, so I must have hit this rail, come out funny at the bottom and flipped almost, because I basically landed on the handrail with my back. I have broken one rib and fractured two ribs, so I'm in a lot of pain. I got some medication now for that pain, but it is unbearable. So you have to forgive me if this podcast is a little bit, a little bit short, or even if I'm struggling to speak, it's just because I'm struggling to breathe. So the plan was to start talking more about my crew, and I do have every intention of doing so. But I also wanted to make a quick update, kind of keep people fresh, make sure people haven't forgotten about some of the things that are coming up, and a couple of shout outs. So as you'll no doubt be aware, this is now our 13th episode. A shout out to all of our patrons. You guys rock. Shout out to Slicks Wheels. I've seen a few people getting in on this Slicks thing now. Really, really happy with my wheels. I had to give the black set back to Pete yesterday, so I'm now on the red ones and still loving them as I have from the very beginning. I get these twinges in my back from my rib cage. It's very frustrating. It's literally the only pain that I experience. Like, sat here now, I feel pretty okay. But breathing, get this twinge, coughing. I've thrown up a lot already today. Bit of a grim episode, I apologise. In terms of new stuff, there's not really been much going on in terms of the podcast. I've had some potential interest from sponsorships, so that's kind of cool. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, whether or not it's something that I'm going to take on. I don't want branding all over the place and things like that, but if I can get something consistent, then maybe that could work, and it adds some longevity to the podcast and a bit of security, which is nice. So I will keep everyone in the loop in terms of how that goes, but that's just something that I'm going to try and figure out with our patrons as to what we do there. But that's just something else. So again, shout out to our patrons. If you want to help me out in any way, you can head on over to patreon.com/Blading Culture Podcast, where you can make a monthly donation of $1 if you want, and more if you can afford to. It all goes a long way. It all goes back into the podcast. We do need some new mics. I did have a mic in the car. Unfortunately, it's been stood on by someone. I'm not sure who it was or how it happened, but it stopped working. So yeah, shout out to everyone at UKBC. Right. So for those who don't know, the UKBC is the UK blading community. Now, recently I've seen an absolute boom in OG rollerbladers coming back. Loads of UK heads who've been out of the game for 15 plus years, 20 plus years, 25 years, coming back, getting the skates on and starting rollerblading again. I don't know what happened. Where has this come from? It's great to see. Some really cool, it's really, the vibes changed at the minute in the UKBC. It's really positive. Everyone's really pushing themselves. And that's because of this trick of the week. And I want to touch a little bit on trick of the week. But shout out to every one of you at UKBC that kind of keeps the the scene alive, and the UK scene is booming. I love it, but I definitely think that having a network or a base for the community to sit in is crucial, and we don't see enough of it. So the UKBC community is outstanding. So shout out to all of you. There's been a lot of cool stuff going on there at the minute. Again, we've had Trick of the Week. We've now got the Battle My Crew series. There's a few events coming up as well. This weekend, although I had every intention of skating this weekend with 3 cracked ribs, I'm not going to be skating this weekend. So I will just be spectating. But this weekend, so Saturday, which is tomorrow in my time, the IRN BLADE Tour 2018. They're going to be coming down from Scotland. There's about 20 plus Scottish rollerbladers coming down from Scotland this weekend. They're going to be skating Ramp Works on Saturday, and they're going to be skating Ramp 1, where I've just had my injury, on the Sunday. There is some details. I will leave a link in the description so you can check out both of the events. But it's worth either coming down to the north, do you know what I mean? From the very, very north down to the north to skate with some of us. So it's going to be really good. Really, really good. So yeah, the Saturday they're going to be at Rampworks Skate Park. Should be there by 12 p.m. So that'll be a good session. The new Rampworks box section that they've just built is astounding. So that's going to be a good session. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make that one. Now, the Sunday, the plan is Ramp 1. Skate there most of the day, then camping at a site in Liverpool. So that's going to be great. 20 Scottish rollerbladers skating at my local. That's going to be wicked. I'm not going to be skating. I am excited to see everyone and meet you all. But again, I'm a bit of a cripple right now. Honestly, I can't walk. I can't move very well. Struggling to breathe. It's one of those, you know, don't break ribs, guys. Don't break ribs, no matter what the cause. I'm just doing it for you. The podcast is pushing me to skate. Being a member of the UK blading community is pushing me to skate. Being a moderator now in the UKBC community, it's pushing me to skate. I'm seeing so much rollerblading and watching everyone progress that it's kicking ass. Now, on the next episode, I'm actually going to be chatting with Matt Kerr, aka Matt Chronic. Now, he's an old friend, a very old friend. We've been rollerblading buddies for a long time, but obviously with moving away, we haven't had a session really. But we did meet this week just gone on the Tuesday at Beast Ramps in Manchester. They built a new section in the skate park with a Resi ramp and a foam pit where the vert used to be, I believe. It's nice. It's a nice little Resi ramp. I'll give it that. I got some flat 3s over it, some 5s. It was weird this is the first time I've skated a Resi ramp, in all fairness. I've skated big jumps, no problems. But it was weird transitioning to a Resi ramp. I almost felt like, it felt a bit easier. I guess because you've got that squishy, cushiony landing that you can kind of go a little bit more fearsome, I suppose. I wanted to do like Bio 7s over it, and I was thinking it over as I was going down the launch ramp, and then I was going up the kicker, I'd chicken out and just do a flat 3. So I'm going to go back to Beast once I'm recovered. But my recovery now is probably going to be anywhere between 5 and 8 weeks. So although I'm going to be trying to make some of these events, it's very likely that I won't be able to skate that much. So, you know, as much as that sucks, it's worth it. Problem I've got now, right, though, is tomorrow. So we've got the first stage of the IRN BLADE Tour. That's tomorrow from about 12 p.m. at Rampworks Skate Park in Liverpool. So if you're around the north, that might be a good option. However, there is also at 1 p.m. the London Street Jam. And that's the 18th of August. That's tomorrow. It's near Woolwich Arsenal Station in terms of getting there. So the London Street Jam will be back again this year. Better spots, more prizes, bigger cash pot. If you would like to sponsor the event in any way, you can get in touch with either Blake Bird or Jamie Harris, and they're going to be running the event. It looks good. It's the London Street Jam. It's London. It's street. It's a jam. What more could you want? I am half tempted to try and make it down. The problem is I don't think I can drive. Physically don't think I can drive. So either if you're up here and you can't make it down south, you've got the IRN BLADE Tour, so that's the Saturday and the Sunday at Ramp Works and then at Ramp 1. You should try and make them if you can. They're coming down from Scotland. It's a long journey, and a lot of cool rollerbladers coming to skate with us. I'm going to try and go out and get some video for the event. We'll see. But if you can't make those, and you're down south, you know, I know there's a lot of you down there. Don't sleep on this. The London Street Jam. It's going to be good. Open street. Best trick. There's a unsponsored street. You know, full skate setup. First prize. You know, there's an after party. A raffle as well. And what's this? Blade Club Streets of Rage. Best slam cash prize. Wow. So yeah, Thames Linton Mead, London Street Jam. That's going to be wicked. I'm excited to see the footage of it. It's very unlikely that I'll make that, but I'm excited to see some of the footage from it. What else have we got coming up? So there's the Deathwax Melton Mowbray Skate Park Jam and Barbecue. That is also this Sunday. So bit tied up really in terms of what I'm going to do, because as much as I want to go and see the Deathwax lot, Melton Mowbray is a mission for me, and Ramp 1 is fortunately around the corner. The Deathwax Melton Mowbray Skate Park Jam. Don't forget there is a barbecue. It's going to be at Melton Mowbray Skate Park. Deathwax don't fuck about. In terms of what's going on at the event, I'm not entirely sure. It's an outdoor park, so there'll be no entrance fee in terms of getting in, but I think it's just a jam. I don't think there's a competition. There may be, you know, prize giveaways on the day, but that's Saturday 25th of August. So that's next weekend. So maybe that's this Sunday. So that's the Deathwax Melton Mowbray Skate Park Jam and Barbecue at Melton Mowbray Skate Park in Melton Mowbray. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? So the weekend after, now this one intrigues me because it's Blandford. So Saturday 25th of August, Blandford Skate Park Summer Session. Now, I've seen some footage from this park. Louis Blackburn skates it a lot. So what I have seen, the park looks legitimate. Really, really legitimate. It's one of those, like, if you can get down there, get down there. But it's Blandford, so it is a mission for me. It's given nice weather. I would expect a big turnout with it being, you know, where it is, and with the local scene being quite good. I mean, Lewis Blackburn for one. Do you know what I mean? Like, the guy's unbelievable on rollerblades. So if you can get to that one, and that's it for the moment in terms of jams. There was a few others that were supposed to happen. I'm not sure what's happened with them. There also is talk of a potential UKBC meetup soon. I'm going to be chatting with Lewis to figure out what the deal is with that, and then I'll keep you all posted. What's been going on at the minute then? Well, apart from having 3 broken ribs, I'm loving my them skates. They are very comfortable. I am going to invest in new laces. I'm not going to invest in super long laces. I'm not going to be one of those that ties them around the cuff. I think I get enough support from that top eyelid anyway. I don't really think that I need to worry about tying myself into the boot any more than I already do. So I'm loving my them skates. The K. Now, if you've not seen the Kaltik K, I'll leave a link in the description below, and you can check this out. So this is a junior skate. It's been a while since we've had any form of innovation or production in terms of the youth aggressive skate market. We used to have things like the USD Transformer, was it? And I think Razors might have made a small skate at some point. But that's basically it. Unless you were like at the top end, you could, well, at the very bottom end, you could probably squeeze into like the smallest Solomons and things like that. But as far as those small sizes, size 5 and 6 UK, you're pretty much out of luck really, but not anymore. So Kaltik have gone out of their way. They've designed and developed and produced a new rollerblade for the youth, I guess. So I'm not entirely sure of the sizes of this boot, but it looks legitimate. It looks pretty good. I estimate it's going to be around £160. So it's also still a budget skate. It's still in that low end bracket in terms of, I paid £155 for my them skates, you know, in a medium, and that was a boot only. And you can buy for £160 this Kaltik K for £160, something like that maybe, with a flat setup possibly, or even just a standard freestyle frame. I think Connor's still trying to figure out what he's going to do with that. There's also potential for a free skate version with the 125mm wheels, I believe. So there's a lot of scope there for really setting up the youth for the future of our sport. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the rollerblading will be saved by the children, because we've not done it. Do you know what I mean? I can't count how many times I've heard over the last 2 weeks about people expecting handouts because they've been pro for 25 years. But like, I say, I'm in agreement with a few people when I say that there are a few people that still rollerblade, and in all fairness, they are still sick. So as far as I'm concerned, and this is the problem, as far as I'm concerned, those pros from 20 years ago are still, as far as I'm concerned, pros in my eyes. But there are a lot of up-and-coming rollerbladers that stand out and rock, absolutely rock on a pair of rollerblades. And they've no support. There's no support. Like, financially, there's no support. You know? There's a reason that some of these bigger companies can do so well. It's because they've got the money to support and back these skaters. You know, up-and-coming companies like, even like Ground Control in their early days were like relying entirely on the pro scene to sell the products. Every pro was riding some kind of ground control frame. And now we've gotten to the point where we've still got exactly the same hardware, basically, that we've had for the last 15 years. Apart from a few innovations and a few old school brands coming back, there's still nothing for the kids. Nothing good. From what I understand, I had a friend and she wore the Transformers by USD for a year and struggled with them relentlessly. But she was basically shit out of luck because there was no other option for her because of how small her feet were. So I'm hoping that these Kaltiks open the market a little bit and push the message that investing in the future of the youth of rollerblading is investing in the future of rollerblading. If you don't do something for the kids, that why would they want to be involved in a sport that doesn't cater to them? They wouldn't want to be in a sport that doesn't cater to them. With skateboarding, it's a bit different, you know. Once you've got a skateboard, you've got a skateboard. Size is usually not irrelevant. Size is usually irrelevant when it comes to skateboarding. If you're a small person, you go for the smaller of the skateboards, don't you? And you crack on. With rollerblades, like shoes, they have to fit. They have to be a good fit for you to enjoy them and for you to get something out of them. If we don't support the youth in our scene, then we're not going to have a scene to support. Because, you know, some of us are pushing 32, 33, some of us are pushing 40. In terms of, you know, those who are still in the community and still involved in some way. We're all getting old. We are the previous generation. The problem we've got is the generation that should have been following us is basically non-existent. We have a select few that are really good, you know, kids. And then we have, you know, boundless numbers of skaters that just haven't got good skates because they haven't got them in their size, or they've got hand-me-downs, or they've gone out and had to buy Solomon's instead of a newer brand because there is no newer brand that's producing skates for someone in their size. I'm sorry if I'm rambling on about this Kaltik skate, but it looks amazing. There'll be a link in the description for you to check it out. It does look fly. It looks fly. I know it's got to be hard to come in with a new product. I get that. But I've always been a fan of the aesthetics of Kaltiks. The frame itself, even with the freestyle frame, I liked the freestyle frame more than I liked the flat at first. And then the flat grew on me. But they were expensive to run at the time. I didn't have the money to keep replacing 8 wheels at a time. So they just eventually got put to one side and sold. So I'm going to be picking up a set of the V2s. They look fly. I think they're going to look amazing on my them skates. and then I just need to try and figure out a way to get eight sets of wheels, a full set of 8s. Might hit up Blade and see what wheels they've got and see what I can get. As much as I've loved the yin yang wheels, I'm probably going to be switching it up for my next set. So for these Kaltik V2s, I want something with a bit of colour in them. If you've not checked out the yin yang wheels by Blade, there's a link in our bio on our SoundCloud. It's always been there now, and it's always there. You have to remember, buying these wheels, you are contributing to 2 competitions in the UK. So, if you've got 20 quid to one side, just go and get these wheels. You're doing the community a world of good as well. Do you know what I mean? You're contributing. And they're sick wheels. They are really good. I really enjoyed them. But I'm obviously at the point now where I'm thinking, right, I want a flat setup for the occasional session. I'm a rocker rider. I am. But I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. I've got a bad back at the moment, as you can probably imagine. I want something that will allow me to go out for casual skates and have a bit more speed to play with. And unfortunately, I'm not even that sure where we're at these days in terms of 8 wheels down, because I don't want a frame that's a pain in the arse to take off when I'm mid-session. So I turn up at a skate park and I've got my flat setup on. I don't want to have to spend 20 minutes mid-session taking the flat setup off to put my rocker setup back on. So if anyone's got any advice on quick to change, or at least reasonably quick to change flat setups or flat frames, please do leave a comment and let me know. I've heard the megas. I've heard good things about the mega frame, but I don't ride the shifts, and I think that a lot of people do ride the shifts who are selling me the megas. So in terms of changing your frame, you just snap your sole plate off, don't you, on your shifts. So I definitely need a flat frame that's easy to get on and off with just an Allen key on my Them skates. So if you personally have a favourite flat frame, hit me up, let me know what it is, and give me some details. I said this in an episode previously, like, reviews on the internet are few and far between. So if you're buying something from one of these shops, or you're buying something from an online outlet, make sure you leave a review. You do help other people out in terms of their future purchases. One other thing, by the way, you can also review this podcast. Now, I'm not asking anyone to do so, but I have now enabled it on our Facebook page. So if you do want to leave us a review in any way, there'll be a link in the description to take you to our Facebook page, or you can facebook.com/Blading Culture Podcast. And you can, if you want to, leave us a review, be as witty and wise as you so choose. It's feedback for me at the end of the day, and I enjoy reading what everyone thinks about the podcast, because at the end of the day, you're listening to this. I really want to be able to give you all something that you can listen to. I don't want to bore anyone, far from it. So I kind of wanted to talk today a little bit about Trick of the Week. Now, Trick of the Week has been running in the UKBC group for 4 weeks now, I think. We had the first trick of the week escapes me. I'm not even sure what the first trick of the week was. I'm sure someone will mention it. And then we had a fish brain, and then we had the acid, rocket. So 5 weeks, 6 weeks, because now we're on the 6th week, and this week is cess slides. Now, I've already gone out and got one cess slide. I did have every intention of getting another last night, but then I broke 3 ribs and kind of put a stop to that. So my contribution for Trick of the Week is done. I'm not going to go out and get anything better because I can't physically skate. But the incentive that I've found from having a community where you can all work together to do something good is fantastic. But now, this is the first time in my lifetime that I've had access to a rollerblading community that I bonded well with, and that I guess, when like for example, so today I managed to get down, and I say managed to, it was basically the only thing I could do, watching the Jump Street podcast episode 3 with Austin Paz, Billy O'Neill and John Ortiz. If you've not watched that, I'll leave a link in the description. Go and check it out. There's some updates about Rob G, things like that. It's well worth a listen. However, the places, I've said this before, as much as I love the podcast, I think it's fantastic. I love the production value and the time that they've put into it. This is exactly what rollerblading needs, is people doing it themselves. You know, my generation, the generation of, you know, the early to late 90s, like, you've got the experience and the capacity to do something great for rollerblading. Having that experience and having the background from the scene and an understanding of it all means that if you were to take up a project, you are more than likely going to get something out of it and be able to provide something that people will currently enjoy. That's why I do the podcast, because again, I've got a lot of experience with rollerblading. I've got a lot of experience with the technology to host a podcast, or at least, well, yeah, I have an understanding of the technology. Funds are always an issue, as always. But I have the understanding of how to put the podcast together, and hopefully put out something fun. But it's something that we're all doing together, and that's one of the nice things about Trick of the Week, is we're all doing it together. So each week, currently it's been a bit up in the air in terms of how we pick and who wins and how we move on to the next week. I think initially it started off with a case of, between the admins and moderators on the page, we would like choose a winner in terms of their creativity and how they, you know, filmed it and the kind of trick that they did. And it would basically just be, you know, give it a go. There was never any, you have to do this kind of acid or this kind of cess slide. It was an acid or a cess slide. And the best and most, I guess, responded to video would be the winner, and then it would be then up to the winner of that trick of the week to then pick the trick for the next week. And you've got, you know, with UKBC we've got upwards of, I mean, in UKBC we have 2,850 members, so that's a lot of people. Now, not everyone takes part in Trick of the Week. A lot of people just lurk and watch the videos, but most of you take part in these Tricks of the Week, or at least integrate yourself with them somehow. And it's always positive, always pushing each other and pushing each other to skate and pushing each other to make and create content. It's really important that you all work together. And with UKBC, we do all work together very well. Very well, in fact, in my opinion, almost too well sometimes. You get in there and you see something and it's already sorted. So although there is the occasional disagreement, that's to be expected with a community page, isn't it? You know, you're going to get that. But shout out to Sam Hand, absolute dude, for even contemplating taking on launching a rollerblading community. You know what I mean? It's a lot of effort, and he's done really well. So shout out Sam Hand, shout out Stu Mason, Lewis Yoxall, and Lewis, and everyone that's helped out with UKBC or Blading Culture or any other UK company. We have so many little bits and bobs going on now, like things like Slick Wheels, Butter Up Wax and whatever, and True Apparel, and all sorts of other UK companies, and we're all being supported by the UK community, and I think that's important. So we've been running this Trick of the Week, and you'd be surprised how quickly a Trick of the Week turns into everyone going out, pushing themselves, trying to get tricks, trying to do different kinds of tricks, trying to spice it up to take the win. It's not just a case of going out and getting acids anymore. We're going out and trying to do something different with an acid so that we can win and choose the trick for the next week. And I've been out this week and got my cess slide. I back united across a rail. It was a regular flat rail, but it's got some height to it. So I basically came up, back unity, and then I slid off the rail in a back unity position and cess slided down a flat bank to fakie. It took a couple of attempts. I was okay. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But again, yeah, I had every intention of going out and trying to get another one, but 3 broken ribs, and I'm basically off now for a couple of weeks. So I'm hoping that Trick of the Week will keep me busy. We're potentially might have a few prizes to give away, the occasional sponsored Trick of the Week. I don't want to say too much because it's not all confirmed, but if that's something that you'd all be interested in getting involved in, just let us know at UKBC whether or not you'd be interested. I know that not everyone wants to take part in Trick of the Week, but maybe if we have some kind of incentive, we can up the numbers taking part. We want to make some compilation videos of Tricks of the Weeks and things like that. So, if you're from the UK and you're not in UKBC, just send us a join request. Come on in, have some fun with us. The Trick of the Week is fantastic. We love it. Love having so much fun on my rollerblades again. However, obviously, unfortunately, like I say, I'm off for a while, but I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else still smash it. What else happened? Brummy Blade Bash happened. Brummy Blade Bash was run by True Apparel. We talked a little bit about it with Tom back when he was on the show, but it happened. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to make it down, but it was from what I've seen, it was a fantastic day, a fantastic event. We do have a list of the winners somewhere. Where has that gone? I apologise. So, Aaron Turner took second at the Brummy Blade Bash. I know that much. I think Mark Lee and Matty Vella took joint third. Who took first? Who was it? Oh, no, I feel like a fool now. It was Dan Collins. Was it Dan Collins? I'm just guessing now. I think it was Dan Collins. I'm going to feel like an idiot if it wasn't. I will try and find out, and if I'm wrong, then I'll amend it, but I'm pretty sure that's spot on. So Brummy Blade Bash was a success. Trick of the Week has been very busy. We've been enjoying it. If you've not seen my contribution, you can head on over to my Instagram, instagram.com/Blading Culture Podcast. If you're in the UKBC, you'll have seen some of the contributions. I'm hoping to start seeing more people taking part, and now that there's more rollerbladers suddenly coming back to the sport from nowhere, I'm hoping that, I think Trick of the Week might actually be having an effect, because I know that a lot of the people that are just getting back into it after 15 or 20 years, they've been in the group for a while, they've been creeping and watching and waiting, and something needed to happen to push those people back into their rollerblading, and I think Trick of the Week might be helping this. So I definitely think it's going to be something that we continue to do for the foreseeable future, even if it is just for the fun of it. I'm happy about everyone taking part, and some of the tricks that have been put forward for Trick of the Week, some of them are amazing. The rocket grab week was fantastic to see. Everyone throwing rockets, a few people on vert, some street rockets. The acid week was really good. I was hoping to finally win and pick the trick for, the week following. However, even if I picked it, I couldn't go out and try and land it. I don't even know if I can walk right now, never mind go out and land rollerblading tricks. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it, and I really want everyone to continue to do so. So we're hoping to maybe spice it up a little bit, but that's going to be something that we sort of have an internal discussion about, I guess, at UKBC, and then figure out what's viable and what's not. But there is some scope there to make it, a little bit different once a month or something like that. Again, if that's something that you'd be interested in, just let us know, and we can figure something out. What else has been going on? So some of you will have no doubt listened to the previous episode 11, bringing back Top Mizzou. Now, I've had some feedback from that episode. Some good, some funny, some not really any bad feedback, because essentially I'm not really wrong in my perception of our trick terminology. I'm not wrong, really. Excuse me. But I think I've sort of established where some of the issues are with some of the confusion. Like, from what I understand from some diagrams I've seen and from a conversation that me and Asa had, is that when it comes to spins from fakie, I don't flip the rotations when I'm going backwards, if that makes sense. So for me, it's always the same. It's the rotation, it's not the direction of travel that's affected by these things. But in America, it seems that when you're traveling fakie, you reverse your terminology for spins, which is where the confusion for in-spin and out-spin comes from. But that's just regional. I don't think there's ever anything that could change that, and I didn't expect anything to. But it is just definitely a regional thing in terms of in-spin and out-spin. I'd like to know more on our terminology, and I've got a few people lined up to come and talk with me about it. One being Frank Stoner. If you don't know who Frank Stoner is, I'll leave a link in the description. He had a chat with Mikey Lynch from the Mad Beef Rollerblading podcast, so I'll leave a link in the description. He's a wealth of knowledge in terms of rollerblading terminology and the timeline of it all. And then Matt King. Matt King was one of the first people that reached out to me to talk about terminology. But I want to talk a little bit more with Matt about, what he's been up to in his career within rollerblading. He's got quite a long timeline within our sport, and it'd be interesting to kind of collate that and figure out where he's been and when he was there and what he may have seen, and talking about the south of the UK back in the day, because it was long before I started rollerblading. I've been to London twice, I think, but never took rollerblades with me. So I know that he's a southerner. So it's going to be good to get a couple of people's different opinions on trick terminology. The problem we've got is people just don't want to talk about it because they can't be bothered. But I absolutely love it. I will talk terminology for hours and hours and hours for two reasons. One, I think it's interesting and I think it's important. For two, I don't mind being proven wrong. And I hope that at some point over the next year, we have a better understanding of our terminology. I think it's worth having a conversation about. I think it's worth talking about. I'm not going to argue with someone because I know that we all have a different opinion. I'm pretty sure that my way of looking at rollerblading is correct, but I'm more than open to someone else's perception of our sport and the way that we do it if it makes more sense. And that's, I guess, the issue, is just trying to figure it all out and make sure it's at least fairly right. The problem we've got, again, is nobody wants to have the conversation. Nobody needs to have the conversation. Because rollerblading is the kind of sport that doesn't complicate trick terms. I know that in the previous episode I mentioned that having alternate names for tricks does complicate things. And I do stand by that statement. But I also stand by the statement that it doesn't complicate things for me and my rollerblading friends. It really only looks odd from the outside. So although I had a lot of fun with the Topside Mizzou episode, I'm never going to go out of my way to, promote alley-oop Topside Mizzou over Kind Grind, because I still call it a Kind Grind myself. But I think the point of the episode was to prove that although the current terminology works, there's a reason that the terminology is the way that it is, and it wasn't a fluke. It started off right, and people changed it intentionally. It removes some confusion, but it still adds confusion from an outsider's perspective. So, rollerblading terms changed for rollerbladers' sake, I think, in my opinion, personally, not for anyone else's. So I'm interested to get a couple of people's opinion on terminology. That's going to be good. Now, I'm also about to take on another project. And that will be building a new skate park in my town. So I want to do an episode on that, but not necessarily just on what I'm doing, but my experience with them. Like I've said in a few episodes, I've built 2 skate parks before, with the help of committee members and fundraising and applying for pots of money through local councils and open spaces funds and things like that. And I lived in Derbyshire, which is a highly aggregated area, quarried to death, basically. So there was a lot of money floating around. that you could dip into for projects to open the area up and expand its usability. So I've got some experience with building parks. My plan is to gather a committee. So I am going to chair this one. I didn't chair the last one, but I chaired the first one. I am going to chair this one because I think that will help. I have a lot of social media presence, and I think that's going to go down well in terms of, crowdfunding essentially the skate park. It's not going to be crowdfunding, but we are going to have to do some fundraising. In order to get money from these pots of money, we need to raise some ourselves. So we're going to be building a skate park here in Leigh. I've got a site planned already. I've got permission from the councils and from the local parks team to build it where they want it. There's a lot of space. I think if we could raise something like 200,000, we could build something unbelievable. So that's my new project. We're going to be building Leigh Skate Park. We've got 2 sites, in all fairness. The first site is the preferred site. The second site will be a backup site in case there are issues with the first, like residents not wanting it, which seems to be, I did try last year, but we bumped into a hitch with residents refusing to, well, not refusing to, but fighting for the park to stay a park. Despite them having a gym in there and play parks and 5 football courts. Do you know what I mean? It's heavily focused on sport. I think there should be a skate park in there. It's the perfect place for it. So that's what I'm going to be doing as well. I'm going to start cracking on with some of this stuff now because I've got 3 broken ribs, so I won't be rollerblading or working for the rest of this week and then maybe early into next week. But I really need to take some time off from everything, so I can get this podcast done now. We can crack on. I know it's been a little while, but I've been pretty mad busy, guys. So I do apologize, but I'm so grateful to everyone that's stuck by and continues to listen into our podcasts. That's pretty much it, really. I'm just chilling right now. Again, I'm quite injured, so I really don't want to be doing too much. Moving around too much. Again, I'm going to try and get to the IRN BLADE Tour this weekend at Ramp 1. That's Saturday and Sunday. Ramp Works, then Ramp 1. There's also the Deathwax Jam and the London Street Jam Saturday and Sunday as well, consecutively. So there's a lot going on this weekend. I'll leave links in the description for all of the events. Trick of the Week is fantastic. Again, if you'd like more information on how we're doing Trick of the Week, you can get in touch with anyone from UKBC, or you can send me a message. If you want to take part in the Battle My Crew series that we've put together, you can just give me an email, bladingculture@gmail.com. Again, you have to be a UK rollerblader and you have to take part with your own crew. But there's not much to it. There's some handouts that we have again. So if you just send me an email, bladingculture@gmail.com. Again, my name's Eric. Just send me an email. If you want to take part, let us know about your crew and where you are and what your plan is. And then you have basically completely free reign to do as you please for your own video section. So it's going to be wicked. The Battle My Crew is going to be wicked. I'm going to be talking a little bit about it soon. In real detail, but again, there's only so much you can say about it. If you want to take part, it's simple. Just get in touch. It's free to enter. You don't have to do anything but skate and film. If you've not got a video guy, we might be able to work something out. Get in touch. If you've not got someone that can process the video and put an edit together, get in touch. Anything, no matter what it is, get in touch. If you want to know the background, get in touch. Just get in touch. bladingculture@gmail.com. Again, shout out to all of our patrons. If you do want to support this in any way, head on over to patreon.com/Blading Culture Podcast. You can join our list of patrons, and they help us cover the cost of hosting the podcast each month. And eventually, once we've got a large number of patrons, the podcast will run itself and the brand will manage itself, and then we can start working on more future projects, including the Blading Culture Street Jam. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Blading Culture Street Jam today. I am going to touch on it in the next episode. But stay tuned for that. If you do want to take part, bear in mind it's probably going to be up north. not gonna lie. If I can make it as central, I will try. Initially I'd planned on going street specifically because it's a bit more freedom to it, but I'm just hunting some spots down right now to make it happen. So the Blading Culture Street Jam. Again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. I know that it's usually just me rambling on, but that's what a podcast is, I suppose. Shout out to everyone that's been skating this week. My clip of the week, I would like to definitely put forward. Forgotten his name. It was the WTF clip on Jump Street podcast as well. The back rail on the wet ledge. Like, what a machine that guy is. A proper android. He was sat on it so high. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check out this back rail. But it was fly. Bail of the week. Well, there's been a few bails this week that sucked. So there's obviously my bail, but my bail, nobody filmed it. I think it's probably gonna have to be Simon Hammond's. If you've not seen it, I'll leave a link in the description. Simon Hammond's bail. He's just rolling along in this nice smooth park. Turns fakie, hits a rock, apparently, but when he gets up, there's nothing there, so we're not entirely sure what tripped him up. But definitely a contender for bail of the week. But yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. It's so good. Just out of nowhere, hits the floor so hard. So definitely my bail of the week. One other thing before I go, and that is the ramp supply company. Now, if you've not followed us on Instagram yet, please do, at Blading Culture Podcast. If you can check out our story, I've begun posting other brands and other UK-based projects that in some way relate to rollerblading. And one thing that I've stumbled across is the ramp supply company. Now, they are an Instagram business, from what I understand. They have a website, and you can basically either buy their pre-built grind boxes and rails and have them shipped, or you can come at them with a custom design for a rail or a grind box or a quarter pipe or anything you want, and they will build it and ship it. There's about 4 weeks in terms of waiting time, but the build quality looks pretty good. I'm going to be approaching them. I've already spoken to them. They know I'm going to be mentioning them on the podcast, so they are aware. But the build quality looks fantastic. My plan is to build a handrail with a good chunk of length to it, upright supports, and then possibly wooden panels, thinnish wooden panels of some kind up the side, so that there's no traps to get my feet wrapped up in and things like that. I'm going to finish my design of it this week and send it on over to them. But they're actually really reasonably priced. Like, if you look at history, the AMOL boards and the AMOL website, there is actually a cached version of it somewhere. Basically, AMOL used to build and ship rails only within the US, and they would basically build them. They had a stockpile of them in the warehouse, I'm guessing, and they would ship them out to people for a fee. Now, their rails were expensive. To even consider getting one over to my house, it was too much, far too much. But this is much more reasonable. You know, you can pay for I think it's the 8-foot grind box, and it's like 60 quid. It's nothing. Like, I'm obviously got to send my image over to the company for my practice rail, but I expect the quote to come back at no more than £100 for this rail, which is well within my budget. I'm really excited to get the rail built. I've got some branding on there, and we're going to make some videos for it. It is a practice rail, but it's going to be a fun practice rail. So if you want to take a look at their work, there'll be a link in the description as always. That's the Ramp Supply Company. They're really good, really legitimate company. We've spoken a few times, and they seem really nice. The work seems really good. Lots of good reviews. Massive advancements in terms of extras for rollerbladers. You know, we don't have a shop making ramps. We don't have. I know that Elliot's been making some stuff, but I'm not sure where he's at with that stuff right now. So I think he's still in like the design and processing stage. But these guys are just making them. They're making boxes and ramps and rails and kickers and down rails and all sorts of interchangeable, interlocking parts. It looks amazing. Link in the description as always. Check them out. Shout out again to all of our patrons. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in and listened for the past couple of weeks. Much appreciated. I will keep everyone in the loop in terms of my ability to skate, but yeah, I presume it's going to be a few weeks. So we're going to get some podcasts recorded. We're going to get some videos done. We'll keep busy. And until next time, as always, peace.